Hi, welcome to Hamilton and Hazen, Behind the Mic. Join author M.L. Hamilton and me, I'm narrator Kelly Hazen, as we discuss our latest audiobook. Born from more than a decade of award-winning collaboration and almost 100 audiobooks we've produced together, listen to the ins, the outs, the ups, and the downs, the inside track you love to follow, Behind the Mic.
Welcome to Behind the Mic, number 28. Hi,
Hello!
this is today we're going to be talking about CAFE AMARETTO, the 10th book in the Zion Sawyer series, which we just finished. And this one marks the first one where we're going to we are doing a pre-sale, not only for the ebook like we usually do, but we're also doing a pre-sale for the audiobook for the first time. We finally worked through all of the ACX requirements in order to get that ready to go. But today you're going to be hosting, so I'm going to turn over the hosting duties to you at this point right now.
Hello, I'm Kelly Hazen, and welcome to Hamilton and Hazen Behind the Mic. No, that's so silly. Yeah, this is exciting. This is, do you know off the top of your head what number audiobook this is for us?
I don't know. I can look it up, but I don't know which
Can
one.
you ballpark it?
No.
Isn't it like 70 something or 80 something or?
I think it's getting close to 80. I think it's
Yeah.
80 at least. Yeah.
Okay. So that's a lot of audiobooks. But the thing that's really interesting about this is that this is arguably the first series that we've finished together.
Yes.
This is the first series that we've taken from beginning to end. And I'll tell you what the caveat is there. It's the year of living dangerously. No, it's the year of discovery we took from beginning to end together. But that was sort of different because it wasn't the same characters through the whole thing. And it was more of a series thematically than it was a series of events or a series of characters. And so I find this sort of exciting for us. And I mean, I do actually. And it's kind of interesting because you already had written. So if we just take a moment to sort of go over our history together, we started recording. You wanted to put Peyton to audio.
Right.
And the very first book we ever recorded was
Murder on Potrero Hill.
right. And Peyton is still alive and kicking
Yeah.
in multiple
Yes.
versions. 3 of them?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's interesting because
Series.
4 series? Okay. And I find what's interesting about that is that we recorded a bunch of books together under a special agreement that was made available to us through ACX,
Yes.
Audiobook Creation Exchange.
Yes.
And then we stopped working together for a while. And then we came back together, and that's when we sort of, and I mean, we were like separate for like a year.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we decided to commit to each other and move forward.
Right.
And that's when we started doing your back catalog,
Yeah.
which you had already written like how many Zion? 5 or 6?
I'd have to go back and look, but there probably were, well, there must have been at least 3.
Okay. Let's say, okay, 3, 5 or 6. I like to sort of live it up. My numbers are very big. Anyway, but so we went back in time and recorded Zion. You had already written them. And then we got caught up in Zion, and then we started recording it together, and the series started developing
Yes.
together.
Yes.
But it was already ensconced. And so that's been sort of on my mind as I recorded this, because so just to make sure everybody understands, this is CAFE AMARETTO. It is book 10 and the final book in the Zion Sawyer Cozy Mystery series.
Yes.
And I mean, so as a writer and what you know about the publishing world, is 10 books a lot for a series? Is 10 books a little?
It might be on the shorter side for a series. I'm seeing some series that go 20, 30, books, which to me is just wild. So it might be on the shorter side for a series, but for me, because the books they're good sized books,
They're full length, yeah.
it's a lot of words that we a lot of time we spent with these characters in terms of words and writing and everything. So
How
yeah,
does how does it feel to
it's
have to finish Zion? How does it feel to put Zion to bed?
weird because Peyton, we've talked about this before. Peyton is the ultimate, right? She's our best-selling series. I don't know if she's your best-selling series, but she's definitely my best-selling series. And
Mhm.
anything Peyton just seems to really generate. But Zion is a very maybe not a close second, but very, a very good selling series. And so to be done with it and to be done with the series that is sort of a palate cleanser for me when I write a Peyton mystery because they're so intense, to have the Zion series, be the fun series that I go to afterwards to write, and just to have fun with it. It's kind of sad, there's a bit of nostalgia with it. But it just felt like it was time, where Zion's life has taken her, where she has moved into. It seems normal and natural to end the series here with her and let her go on and live the rest of her life. Um,
Did the series did it just so you say that thing about it seems like Zion's life is taking her almost like it's or biographical. Did the character just lead you to where it is, or did you have to jerk the character around to get her to end?
no, it really just seemed to be the natural progression as I wrote the books and as everything happened. It seemed like the natural progression for her to move into this, part of her life and to kind of let go of the part of her life that created the series itself, the investigative part of it. It just seemed like that just didn't fit with who she was becoming anymore. She's becoming such a very um savvy businesswoman and starting her life and everything. It just seemed like that was a natural progression for her to sort of leave the more dangerous um which is kind of ironic if you think about where she's at, where her fame has shot up so much with solving these crimes, and then for her to say, "Yeah, but now I'm gonna leave that and walk away." Maybe doesn't seem like something that somebody would do if they had achieved that sort of fame. But you know, I think it's a natural progression in the fact that she and Tate both realize this fame is a double-edged sword, right? And it's starting to become intrusive into who they are as a couple.
I think it's really interesting that I think that oh god, like so many thoughts just came to my head. I think in the writing of it, so as I'm narrating it and reading it as a fan, right, and as a reader, I think you make it make a lot of sense. You make it make sense. It doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes to the progression through not even through the last several books, just even this final book, the progression seems normal and natural. It's not like it didn't feel like you jerked it around to get it here. I know you do, and you've talked about that you do a lot of planning
Yeah.
and scheduling and plotting when you write a series. When you first laid out and you do the whole series from beginning to end before you start writing, is that correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
It's a loose layout. I mean, things will happen in the books that maybe change the trajectory a little bit,
Mhm.
but I definitely have a plan for where I want to take these characters as I go through the series.
Did you know what her eventual outcome was gonna be when you started writing her?
Yeah, I had I the issue of her going viral was something that developed as I wrote the series. That really wasn't in the original plan for that to
That
happen.
almost, like, wasn't a thing
No,
in the world, so when you started writing it and when I started recording it, that's kind of a That's kinda trendy.
Thing about it is, yeah, you're right. Is in the middle of the series, right? This whole thing with true crime and true crime podcast became such a big deal in this country. And to the fact of this horrible story about Nancy Guthrie,
Mhm,
where the police are asking these true crime people to stay out of it. Like they're going to these sites and trying to investigate on their own. And the police are saying, please don't come here. Please don't do this. You're interfering with the investigation. And it's become this just cultural phenomena, hasn't it? And that it's just been over what the last maybe 5 years or so. Um,
yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely.
so yeah, I couldn't have projected that that was where, was gonna happen, was gonna become part of the storyline, but the rest of it, I did have a sense of this is how I wanted it, and I even will sort of have a rough plot for each one of the books before we even get to them. Just
I think, also Zion from the beginning, just to say again that it seemed like a natural progression was that, Zion was always the reluctant sleuth,
yes.
and so it makes sense to me that this notoriety wouldn't be something it would be something she would move away from rather than toward. Um, do you remember when this was one of those things, and you might not remember, it's okay. But so you had written Zion and you were several books into it before I started giving those characters an aural life.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you started listening to Zion, the first recordings I did, and what your reactions were to them?
And they're always, that's because you're kind of segueing into something that I think is an interesting topic. It's always interesting. Sometimes, which I've said this before, I'll hear a character and I'm like, where did that come from? And then I'll go back and I'll read, and
Mhm,
it's there in the verbiage, it's there in the wordings. So it's always kind of a fun adventure for me. I get
mhm,
delighted to see what you're going to do with a character, to see where you're going to go with this character. Two in particular that I found extremely just dead on with what I wanted, but I didn't know I wanted. And I know that sounds weird,
mhm.
but like I didn't realize this is what I wanted for those characters. I had an idea of where you would go with these characters, and then you went a different direction. And when I heard it, I went, nope,
That's
that's
interesting.
the right one. The choice you made was the right one. And
Can
those,
I say who I think they are?
yes, tell me who you think they are.
Demos and Jaguar.
No, in this book, and new characters in this book. Who
Oh, Wilda.
yes.
I don't know who the other one would be. I can't think who else was new.
Antonia.
Oh, right. Oh, right. Yeah, you really liked Antonia, as
But
I remember from our communication during the
I
recording of this.
really liked what you did. And those, so in this last book, those two were sort of, I had in my mind what I thought their voices would be, and then you did their voices, which was different than what I thought. And but you nailed it. That was the right choice. And I when I heard it, I went, oh, that's it. That's the right one. Um,
Really, those there's that's a group of characters that come to us via the Rusty Buckets, which is the motorcycle gang, that
Hilda's through Noah.
oh, Wilda's through Noah, yeah, but I'm talking about Antonia specifically.
Yeah.
And, Wilda's young. With young characters, there's not a lot of backstory that necessarily gives you who they are, although not true with Wilda. I mean, she very much came out of where she came from, the backstory that you gave us on it. But Antonia comes to us via the Rusty Buckets, and the Rusty Buckets come from a very specific that Harley Davidson kind of motorcycle gang kind of place. But Antonia, who started at the same place as Hatchet Henry, theoretically Condor, and Willie Boone, they go that way, and Antonia goes that way, but they all started at the same place. And so it's really, you didn't ask me this, but I'm telling you this anyway. It's really interesting to sculpt the road of that person, right? Because Antonia winds up as the wife of a district attorney in a major uptown state, and so she sort of progressed socially, economically farther.
So then a question for you, what was the thought process that led you to pick Antonia's more cultured, but still so it's such a subtle thing. She's definitely more educated. Her voice has a more educated sound to it, but there's still that underlying um
Edge.
edge
Edge.
to it. Yeah. And so what led you, how did you make those choices, or is that just organic, it just comes out? But there, I mean, what was the thought process?
She
And
was she was she was very specific, the choices with her, because she comes from such a dark background. There's a child is gonna have a hard edge from that,
yeah,
and that lives through that, and that sees what she must have seen, and to know what she must have known, and the decisions that leads, the conclusions that a child comes to watching that kind of activity between adults, and so there's no illusions,
right.
in a child like that. And also she had to be sufficiently strong to make the men do what she wanted them to do. I mean, right from the jump,
Yeah.
Willie winds up where Willie winds up because he was trying to do something for her. And so, and then to see an opportunity and get, so Willie does what Willie does, they wind up where they are. And then one can only assume that Antonia saw an opportunity, or at least became aware that there was an opportunity. Did she make that happen, or was she just aware that she had an opportunity? And then to be cold enough and calculated enough and strong enough to survive, right? I mean, to see that better road to survival. So and it was interesting because I remember I was already into it quite a bit, and I stopped myself and I went, wait a minute, she's supposed to be like 80 years old,
Yeah.
and I was like, maybe I need to re-record this. And then I went, screw it. I'm not going to go back and redo it because that's sexist or ageist, and um, and number two, it just, she was cooking with gas. So it was like, I want to keep this. This is right.
For her, she was somebody who fought against, they talk about that she looked younger than what could have been, and
Yeah.
somebody who definitely chose to, lean into a younger version of who she was. Anyway, so
Why did you start writing Zion in the first place? Was it because you needed a palate cleanser for Peyton, or why'd you start with Zion?
so much of what where kind of my career has been guided has been from our readers or our listeners. And I had a few, well, not a few, a number of people write to me saying that they enjoyed Peyton, but the violence and the um darkness was a little too much, and they wanted
Mhm.
something that was softer, that had less of the violence. And I became aware of cozy mysteries because that's exactly what cozy mysteries are for. They're for people who want the mystery without the violence. And so I thought, well, okay, this is another challenge that they've kind of laid before me. Can I do this? Can I write a murder mystery and somehow strip out those darker elements? Which that's not to say, to me, Zion sometimes, treads the line on that. Not with there's no gratuitous violence, but the darkness is still somewhat there at times. And
I
so go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna say that, because I've recorded a handful of cozy mysteries, and um, and I think that Zion is really successful because things do get. I mean, the stakes are still really high. And I don't want to say that it's not just because it's not as gory. You know, there's a there's always these parallel storylines, with you. And I mean, and I imagine in a lot of, there's a lot of writing, but it, the the parallels are lighter. The parallel with the mystery, you allow that it's a little lighter, it's a little more frivolous, it's a little more sort of just silly, and that's the success. But the mystery and the difficulties are difficult. I mean, Zion they went through wildfires. They went through it. And I think it's also the degree of detail that then you choose and the way that you choose to describe things that keep it from in the cozy mystery as opposed to the mystery,
Right. Right.
the degree of description. But yeah, Zion, I mean, this is a cozy mystery because of the way you write it, but not because you go away from important relationships and important challenges and important and that's I think there are writers out there who approach cozy mysteries by underwriting, and you don't do that, you know
I want
and
it
I'm glad.
I want it to be light and fun. You brought up Demos and Jaguar, and who, I told you, I think one of our text messages, because we've talked about this before, but we text throughout the whole production of the books. And one of the text messages I remember saying to you is that just any scene where Demos and Jaguar are in it are just fun. They're just fun. And I think that is the part where it gets cozy, is that those characters like that are just there to be sort of to bring the levity up after the heavy scenes and to lighten the situation. And
Mm.
that definitely, and not that there aren't fun and silly characters in Peyton, but not to the degree. Like they're Demos and Jaguar are really caricatures. I mean, they're so outrageous and so silly. Um,
And yet if you read, I think it's cool that because Jaguar in his standalone novel, I mean, that's a serious book.
Yeah, it's very serious. Yeah,
Yeah. And to know that that's where he came from,
yeah.
you know the whole time that's where he came from. I mean, I hope readers know that,
He
if you haven't, let me so this is a commercial for the standalone novel Jaguar, which is also out in audiobook. But if you're a fan of Zion Sawyer Cozy Mystery Series, do yourself a favor and read or listen to Jaguar that features Jaguar.
he
Jerome.
Jarvis, yeah, he's fun. He's an interesting character because there's a couple of moments in this one. I think of, not to give anything away, but there's a scene where he and Tate have sort of a heart to heart, and Tate realizes, that part of Jaguar's insecurity, there's a foundation for it, there's
Mm,
a reason why he has his insecurities the way he does. And what's interesting is the two of them, their friendship, Tate remarks that they're unlikely friends. That it's weird that they're friends with each other, but they both have insecurity. Now their insecurities are different, but they both have this raging insecurity, and I think that that's part of what I saw drawing the two of them together was that, you know,
You know, I thought this while I was recording it too, and this is moving on to a new topic if you'll allow me. I find a lot of similarities in the way that you wrote this book, Cafe Amaretto, with the last Everly Beckett Christmas mystery, Escaping Enemies, because you have there's sort of this hidden umbrella or this hidden overriding theme of marriage and commitment and relationship commitment and parenting and the the family, the structure of a family, and we see that on so many. It's like scoring music, and each one of the character storylines is a different, the melody, the counter melody, the harmony, and yet we explore that theme on each one of those levels, just like we did in Escaping Enemies, although that wasn't family wasn't the umbrella topic, but and I like it when you do that. I think that shows a depth. I think that shows a depth to your writing that, not that it hasn't always been there, but just that I've been noticing it in the last 2 books, and I think it shows a depth to your an increasing depth to your writing. I don't know what I'm saying, but, other than I noticed that, do you have anything to say about that? Did you know you were doing it when you did it?
This one in particular, I think so. This one, but you had the whole issue of Antonia and their family, and then Zion facing whether her biological father is going to become part of her family, whether she's going to accept him or not. And then Tate sort of resolving his own family issues, his issues with his father, and deciding that he does want to go forward and having a family. And then the very um basic elemental level of Julia being pregnant, which we knew from the last book that she was pregnant, and that whole thing. So you have all of those elements of what it means to be family, sort of coming together. And even in some ways, the motorcycle gang, the Rusty Buckets and the Unrepentant gang, that too is that there's an idea, or there that's always fascinating me with that, with motorcycle gangs and stuff like that, is that element that they become almost a family, a pseudo um family.
Like a tribe, yeah, or a
Yes,
community, yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, yeah, no, it's true. It's true. And just continuing in the thought of the cozy mystery, I think there's another couple of examples I'd like to give of and ask you about, that make Zion such a successful cozy mystery. And before I go into those, I want to say for myself, the thing about Zion that caught me right from the beginning was that the thing that launches us into this series is, to me, has always been, it's like one of my fantasies that, you get a phone call out of nowhere
yeah, yeah,
that you've inherited $1,000,000, right? And I mean, and it's that thing, right? That you've
yeah,
it's this great uncle that you never knew about or whatever, this person that you never knew you were related to, and they leave you in their will, the riches of a new life,
yeah,
and you could say you inherit $1,000,000, but, and that's what launches Zion on this whole thing, is this person that she knew nothing about, leaving her everything, upon her demise, and that I was hooked right from the jump, on that. It was like, "Oh my god," and then what is she gonna do with this? And she encounters it. So that leads me into, so Zion gets to Sequoia, and I think one of the thing that immediately, you're in a cozy mystery is all of the funny store names.
yes.
What was it? What made you think of that? What inspired you to make that a part of Zion Sawyer Cozy Mystery
Oh,
Series?
so funny that you brought that up, because I was wondering if that was going to come up. We're doing a well, we'll talk about that more later, but we're doing a thing later today, and I was wondering if that was going to come up as a question too. Trying to remember back, because we're talking 10 years, right? That this series has been going on for. And I'm trying to remember back and what gave me the idea of doing these crazy punny names. And I honestly can't remember where that thought came from. I just,
Oh, that's funny.
yeah,
Because the thing I always loved about them is that they're sort of bad.
yeah, they're awful.
I mean, if you wanted it if you wanted him to be catchier, I mean, Hammer Time kind of hits the nail on the head, right? But the rest of them are sort of like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just awful. Yeah, and then the one, that, and I'm trying to remember what it is now, that, when, Matilda decides she's gonna open her store, and that one, I looked for the absolute, thread no more, right? Or is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thre
Is it?
no, it's thread. What the hell is
It's
it?
like 2 words, isn't it?
Yeah. But I looked,
I can't believe we don't know.
I
It's so
did
it's we
search.
should be embarrassed.
I know. What the heck is the name of it? But I did a search trying to find the absolute worst punny name I could think of, and it just it came up with all these ideas, and then I took those and I combined it to make this really god awful. I mean, it's like up to no Gouda. How much more, you know? And that was what I wanted. So every time I came up with one, I was like, oh God, am I going to be able to come up with some just wretchedly awful punny name for this store? And it just got so fun to think of these, the Fast and the Furious, which I can't even.
Yeah, that yeah. And of course we have Donut Pass, which we will hear again. Did you know that Zephyr was gonna be when did it come to you that Zephyr and I don't this is not a spoiler alert or anything, but Zion Sawyer in a supporting role will live on in the new Zephyr O'Malley mystery series. Um, when did you know Zephyr was gonna be when did you know that you were gonna continue this with Zephyr?
So I think to me, a good cozy mystery series is kind of like a good sitcom. And in a sitcom, you always have to have the straight character, the character that plays it straight, and then you have to have the crazies around it. You think of Seinfeld, you had Seinfeld being the straight character, and then you had Kramer, and you had, George, and you had all, Elaine that were the crazies, right? And
Right.
he always played the straight. And to me, in a good cozy mystery, you've got to have the straight characters. So Tate, I mean, who could be straighter than Tate, right? You've got Zion, who just do not really engage in all of the silly nonsense. They are the stabilizing force. And so I got to thinking, like, which one of the characters in Sequoia has that quality, has that just straight and narrow kind of, and so I came down with it could be David or it could be Zephyr. And David just doesn't, David's not going to get himself caught up in that. He just would never allow himself to get sucked into a mystery of any kind. And Zephyr there was another one when we have the story of Evie, and I can't remember which one that was, but Zephyr gets caught into kind of drug into it with Zion to solve Evie's.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. And so I thought, well, Zephyr's probably the best one because she does have sort of that straight laced, she's so driven, she's so focused, but she would be one that you could easily pull into some nonsense. And
That's interesting that you bring up David. David, that would be an interesting
yeah,
yeah, him just he's so straight-laced and he's so not getting involved and but then for him to go, "But wait a minute." There is because he is really smart. Bruce had the idea that Peyton and Zephyr or no, Peyton and Zion should meet.
I had toyed with that idea. Yeah, I had toyed with doing a crossover, or I've toyed with actually doing a crossover with Everly from with Peyton from the Christmas Mysteries, because that seems like that could be something that might actually happen. Peyton could do it.
Oh, yeah. No, that would be good. That would be good too.
Yeah.
Okay, so my last question for you is this.
Okay.
And again, and I think this is another way that you have with great integrity created this cozy mystery series. And that was and it was it still embarrasses me that I didn't figure out that the names of the books matched coffee drinks that people that were the favorite characters coffee drinks. And how did you come up with that? When did you know? Did you know from the beginning that that's how you were going to title the books? Should can I ask you to reveal now who the different characters are that drink each one of the titles?
I'd have
Um,
back, but so most of them, it's the villain. So it was a clue if you had guessed, but it was a clue that a lot of them are the villain, not all, but a lot of them are the villain, and it's their coffee drink. So the first one, the cappuccino, was the murder of Vivian Brad.
Ah.
But not all of them, because I think Cafe au lait, I think that's Jaguar's drink. Um,
And
and
Dwight orders a cappuccino, I think, in Cafe Amaretto.
Dwight, or yes,
Dwight. I think he right when he makes a visit. And
but
you know who else drinks cappuccino? I think is Dottie.
she does.
Yeah. So that was when
Yeah.
that Instagram post that I did, that was it was like, oh my God, Dottie drank a cappuccino.
And like you said, everybody knows Zion's is chai tea.
Yeah, we knew that from the beginning. Yeah. Yeah. And what does Tate drink? Is he the mint?
Yeah, she's Dottie's always making him the mint mocha chip.
That's it. All right. Well, and that's what I love about that's what I mean. That's part of the fun of this cozy mystery series that it's got those little it's almost like we have to get better at this actually. Now that we have time. People need to know about that. There could be contests in your newsletter like for people to say, "Oh, I know who drinks this, who drinks this, who drinks this." But and then they win, I don't know what they win, but
Well,
a coffee stir.
been so much fun to this last one, trying to fit in. I sat there and I agonized over, do I have the wedding go crazy? Do I make a crazy wedding, or do I let them have just a normal wedding? And I thought they would have been disappointed to have a normal wedding. So well, I won't reveal the things that go on at the wedding, but our listeners can find out when they download our pre sale of the
So when does that start? March 1st, right?
first, and the book and the audiobook will all be available for everybody March 15th.
And so with this pre-order on the audiobook, that means the day it's released, it's delivered to if you pre-order.
Their devices. I've done it. I've paid for a pre-order before. So if you pay for the pre-order, you don't even have to think about it again. It's going to show up in your device on the 15th. You don't have to go in and download it. You don't have to do anything. It just automatically gets delivered to your device.
Well, I will tell you, and I will tell our fans that this is sort of this is our practice run on this pre-order thing. And because in order to make it happen, because we don't control all of the we don't we don't have full control over the vertical and the horizontal. We have to have the book to the publisher, marketer, distributor a month in advance of the release date. And that's a big that's a lot of time. So if you dig pre-orders, pre-order this book because if it's not worth that month of time to wait for the release, we probably won't do this again. So if you like pre-orders and you like knowing that the book is going to be there, the audiobook is going to be there, the ebook is going to be there as soon as it releases, this is the one to really nail it down so that we get the message from you that you love pre-orders, or just contact us on social media and let us know you love pre-orders. But yeah, this will be the one. It's
Yeah.
very exciting.
It's a lot to kind of plan it out. I mean, I have it right here. I think this is interesting. I have this little sticky note with our production dates. I mean, this is literally like we went backwards and we planned our production dates, and we nailed every one of them, but it was a lot. It was and we couldn't, like, there was no wiggle room in this at all. And so yeah, it's a lot to do
We
it.
were very adult.
Yes, we were. Yeah.
We were cozy publishers. I mean, we were very smart about it. We pulled up our big girl underpants and made it happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, and I had a moment of panic. I was at my son's house taking care of my granddaughter, and I was like, the sticky notes on my desk at home. And what was that date again? So I'm gonna have to do something better than the sticky note from now on. So I have
Take a picture of it. Take a picture of it.
something, but
No, we've done well. And so let's talk about up and coming. You alluded to it, but it's very exciting today. We are going to visit in just a little bit of time. You and I are going to visit with a national book club. This has members. It's going to be a Zoom that you and I are attending. It was a very cool woman that purchased this visit at the silent auction, Nosh with the narrator, and asked us to they started with me and I said, "Hey, you want my friend to come?" And so we're meeting with them via Zoom, the Sleuth sisters, and probably half a dozen or so women from Colorado and Ohio and New Hampshire, I think it is, and California, bunch of states represented. But and this will be fun. I think we'll have a good time. But that's today. Um, what's our next book?
so just to kind of piggyback on that though, really
Oh, okay.
before I preview our next book, what's really interesting about this, so this came out of which you didn't mention was out of Bouchercon, uh
Right, right.
September. And so you had offered, they asked for people to donate to the silent auction, and you came up with this idea for Nosh with the narrator, and you provided two
Mhm.
of these Nosh with the narrators, and we had two people buy them, and you had a meeting with the other person. If I'm correct, please correct me if I'm wrong on that, but
No,
you,
you're right. It was an author that just wanted to know about how to do audiobooks, and we had a lovely visit. Winnie Froelich, who writes wonderful mysteries, and you can find her on Amazon. She hasn't recorded any audiobooks yet that I know of, but yeah,
yeah,
it
and
was
the second people were the Sleuth sisters that they purchased it for their book club, to have us come and speak with them at the book club, to have you, first of all, speak with the book club, and then you brought me into it, which is
and they chose Cappuccino with Zion Sawyer. That was the book. So we supplied them with audio copies,
yeah,
and now we're gonna meet with them and talk about Cappuccino and Zion Sawyer and writing and recording.
yeah. So and this is a really interesting book group, because they're not only are they mystery aficionados, but they also are, you mentioned to me the other day that they're authors themselves, and
Yes,
they
yes.
they did a anthology together.
Right. They appear in an three of them have stories in an anthology with a bunch of other, and it's short stories.
So it's kind of an interesting thing that has happened over quite a few months to get to this point where we're going to meet with them today. Um,
Yeah.
it's something, if there's any of our listeners have book groups and you'd like Kelly and I to come, if you do a Zoom kind of book club, you know, call us or call us, send us an email or contact us on social media.
Yeah.
That, which is another thing that I think we should bring up too, is we have increased, both you and I have increased our social media presence quite a bit lately. And so if you are not following us, we are on, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly, but we are on Instagram, Threads,
Mhm.
Blue Sky, and Facebook. So
Yes.
your preferences, connect with us, follow us, and you'll get information. Kelly is doing some really cool videos about um,
Thanks.
publishing or recording. And I think, we post multiple times a week. And so that's one way to connect with us and to kind of
Mhm.
um, find us. And so then to preview our coming books, so I started the third book in our More series, the children's books. Another Rue Cypress is called the Case of the Lost Boy,
Mhm.
and that's going to. So I'm about 3 chapters in of 10, and we'll have that come out probably April or May. And then it will be the summer of Peyton. We will have in the FBI hate crimes division the case of the something. I'm blanking on it.
Me too.
Oh the synagogue burning. And
Say it again.
the case of the synagogue burning. I think that's how it's, yeah. And then our final book in the early cases series, this will conclude that series, is Behind the Trigger, and that will also be out. So it will be the Summer of Peyton.
And then will our final, not final, but the next Christmas mystery be after that?
Yeah.
All while also completing, and I said I was going to do it last year. I said I was going to do it last year. We're going to finish World of Samar.
Yeah.
And only 2 books to go.
Needs to go.
Mhm. So, and that,
And I figure so by Christmas, we should also have available by December. I know that seems like a long way away, but I can't believe that February is almost over. We will have 2 box sets available for our listeners by Christmas for your traveling listening. And it will be the second of the Zion Sawyer. So the books 5 through 10, or books 6 through 10, sorry.
Mhm.
Sorry, 6 through 10 will be in the second Zion Sawyer box set. And then we will have the early cases, all of the early cases will be in a box set for you as of Christmas.
and the final, quite possibly the final box set of World of Samar.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we could potentially have 3. So we could keep you guys listening throughout the entire holiday season for 2026.
Yeah. Now it's very exciting. It's very exciting. It's very exciting.
All right.
We're having some fun. Yeah, join us on Instagram or on Facebook
Definitely. Yeah,
because
what
we're having a lot of fun with that.
it is, it's we have different takes on it, which is kind of fun to see how each of us are approaching this. But we made
Mhm.
another thing that came out of Bouchercon, we made a commitment that we were going to get more active on social media. And so
We're talking about starting a podcast,
yes.
and I think we're going to do it. No, you're so good. You decide you're going to do something, and I mean, like, I blink, and you've done it. You've started it. It's on its way. You've done the storyboards for the next 12 issues. You've ordered all and I am like, I'm going to do this thing. And then like 5 years later, but we at Bouchercon, we talked about doing a podcast. It came out of Bouchercon.
Yes.
And there was one night at Bouchercon where I literally stayed up all night. And because I kept getting ideas, I kept getting ideas. And it was like, and I've learned that you can't go, well, okay, I'll remember that and write it down in the morning. You've got to write it down. And so, and this is going to be a very short, because we have this thing that we do, this YouTube talk show, and I think it's wonderful. But it's very much about the craft.
Yes.
And you had experienced some group of mothers that were on live Instagram or something that were talking about parenting or something. Every Friday night, they talk about their kids for 15 minutes or something. And I realized, or I suggested, or we realized together that we should do something short and quick and to the point that actually allow people to get to know us
Yeah.
more. So the idea is that we're going to do a podcast, 15 to 20 minutes an episode, preferably 15, that and once a week and just and we're going to draw topics out of a fishbowl and talk about that topic and just and the name of it is going to be hashtag write that down.
Yeah.
So hold me to this.
Okay. All,
That yeah.
all of our listeners are now on board.
Okay.
All right. So, anything else for the good of the order? All right. So
I don't think so.
this is Behind the Mic number 28. Yeah. Thank you, Kelly.
Welcome.
All right. We will see you guys next for the case of the lost boy.
A Ruth Cypress mystery. More multiple option reading experience.
Exactly. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for Hamilton and Hazen Behind the Mic. Visit authormlhamilton.net and kellyhazennarrates.com to join our newsletters for more insider news and views. Today's episode is sponsored by Phoenix Publication Services. PPS, Digital Shepherds. Let us ignite your writing goals.